Okay, to complete our discussion on offshoring and outsourcing, as I have said in the second module, for this last module, first of all, we will watch a video clip. So let me share my screen at this point, and I will show you this video clip, which will last maybe 2 minutes. Let's watch it, and then we can discuss about it a little bit, and then we will work on the quiz questions. Okay, here we go.
Amid geopolitical tensions in the COVID-19 pandemic, the United States and its allies are pursuing a new kind of global trade. That is friendshoring. Well, the concept called for U.S. companies to relocate their factories from countries like China to the Western Hemisphere and trade only with countries that are political allies. And to understand how friendshoring could harm the global economy, let's first take a quick look at how the world has benefited from offshoring, which is pursued by many countries at the head of globalization. Well, under offshoring, companies can make goods wherever it is the cheapest to do so. Rich countries move manufacturing and production to developing countries so that their final products are much cheaper. Well, it's also a win-win situation because offshoring also creates more jobs in emerging markets, which in turn contributes to the economic growth of developing countries. But if developed countries now decide to shift their businesses only to nations they consider allies, it'll take away from developing countries, and such protectionism will come at a significant cost. For example, tariffs on U.S. imports of phosphate fertilizer from places like Russia and Morocco, two leading producers, have raised costs and cut off small U.S. farmers from the global market. The logic behind Washington's trade protectionism is to shield its industry from foreign competition and improve the domestic economy. But ironically, it has harmed its people more. Data shows American consumers ended up paying more for the same goods made in countries other than China after the United States imposed 3 batches of tariffs on China since the Trump administration. And the U.S. is fully aware of the cost, as the Biden administration is now considering lowering tariffs.
Will you drop former President Trump's China tariffs?
We're discussing that right now.
In a recent speech by Christine Lagarde, the president of the European Central Bank, she reiterated that the benefits of globalization are indisputable and that open trade should not have to suffer in this global reordering. So, despite challenges facing the world economy now, a global trading system is perhaps still needed. While it's tempting to try an alternative method, it may be costly, inefficient, and counterproductive to give up on globalization and turn to trade protectionism.
Okay, I hope you were able to hear the voice properly. If not, I will send you the link to this YouTube clip so you can watch it independently after watching this third module of our class. As you can understand from this news coverage, which is date back to 2018, friendshoring has a different mentality and different assumptions, right? With offshoring and outsourcing, we assume like any firms in any country can be a business partner, right? Because there we assume we have a global community. And within this global community, every countries can be trusted, right? But if you think friendshoring is better than offshoring, first of all, this is economically limiting our options, right? But still, because of the political reasons, it is thought of a better and more safe option, right? This is what we are experiencing right now. Even if some firms located in China, in East Asian countries, are maybe more effective and they can produce their products cheaper, right? Even if they can be a better option economically, because of the political reasons and because of the divided world global community, we prefer to work with friends who can be economically a more inferior option, but politically they can be some viable options, right? So that's why, again and again, to make better economic decisions, you should also consider the political context, right? Nothing is independent from the political context. Okay, I hope that point is easy to understand for you. And now for the last part of our class, we can work on our quiz questions. So if this would be an in-person class, for sure I could ask these questions on iClicker to you, but now I will show you them. If you need some time to answer them, you can stop the video, and then after finding your answer, you can return to the video clip. So the first question is, what is the primary objective of import substitution industrialization? Now, if you read the options, the best answer should be C, right? Import substitution industrialization aims to decrease the import level, right? This is the meaning of substituting the imported goods with domestic product. So C describes that in the best way, right? Reducing dependency on imported good is the primary objective of import substitution industrialization. A can't be the correct answer. Promoting exports, this is a different industrialization strategy. B, increasing foreign investment. This is not the primary objective of ISI, right? It is kind of a side effect of ISI. D, enhancing international trade partnerships. This is not the effect or goal of ISI, right? International trade partnerships, at least theoretically, could be stronger in a market economy, right? Okay, so our answer to this question is, let me mark it. The correct answer is C, or the best answer is C, right? Because the question asks the primary objective. All right, the second question. Which economic strategy does ISI involve? Okay, think about it. If this would be an in-person class, you would have 1 minute to answer that one. Free trade, do you think free trade can be the correct answer? No, A can't be the correct answer, right? By the way, for this question, you can choose all the options that are correct for you, okay? This question can have more than one correct answer. But A is not definitely among them, right? What about protectionism? Yes, ISI creates a protected domestic market, right? This is the way to protect and nurture the so-called infant industries. So B is one of the correct answers. Let's check if there are some other correct answers among the options. Outsourcing. We said this is also a part of ISI, right? When ISI was first designed after Second World War, the idea was like outsourcing some final good industries to the other countries. Now we have a more complicated picture, right? We are not only delegating the production of some final goods, but we are delegating the production of some part of the whole production process. So this is defining outsourcing, right? So C can be also an answer. All right. D, liberalization. If we are using protectionism, this is kind of an anti-liberal policy, right? So D can't be the correct answer. So if this is our question, B and C can be the correct answer. On Canvas, when working on your quiz questions, you will not find C as a possible option. So the only correct answer will be B. Okay, keep that in your mind. Next question. What role does the government typically play in ISI policies? Okay, think about that. Minimizing intervention. Do you think this is a part of ISI? Actually, no, right? Protectionism is a kind of intervention to the market. So we need an active government to apply ISI policies. So A is something different. So you can eliminate it. What about B? Facilitating free market forces. Again, if you use the same logic, protectionism is not on the side of free market forces. So ISI is contrary to the logic defined by B. Actively intervening in the economy. So that seems better, right? Because protectionism, as I said, is a method to interfere to the market. So C seems the correct answer. And if you can check D, you can see this is also not a correct answer, right? Laissez-faire policies. This defines free market economy in French, right? So you can eliminate D. The only correct answer for this question is C. Okay, I have 3 more questions. The fourth one is, one criticism of import substitution industrialization is, take your time, read the options. You can stop the video at this point. Okay, enhanced economic stability. I mean, read the question carefully, right? We are talking about the criticism of ISI. So if ISI can provide a kind of enhanced economic stability, there is nothing to criticize here, right? So if A is a part of ASI, we should be happy with it. Okay, you can eliminate A. What about B? Increased global competitiveness. I mean, we can argue if this is correct or not, but if ISI can do that, again, this is something we can praise, not right? Not nothing to criticize here again. So you can eliminate B as well. Development of a diversified industrial base. Usually ISI don't have that kind of an effect, but if yes, again, nothing to criticize. That's a good thing, right? We would be happy to have this kind of diversified industrial base. So you can eliminate C as well. Creating inefficiencies and hindering innovation. So this is generally a critic that we are doing to protectionism, right? This is not only a critics to ISI, but it is something about protectionism. So ISI includes protectionism. It uses tariffs. So that's why people criticize ISI based on this argument. So D is the correct answer to this question. Okay. Fifth question. One challenge associated with offshoring is enhanced supply chain resilience. This is not a problem of offshoring in general as a strategy, okay? This could be a problem of a firm that wants to be a part of general global offshoring environment, right? So that's why A doesn't sound reasonable to be a correct answer to this question. What about B, cultural and communication barriers? I think this is the correct answer, right? Remember, we talked about transportation costs and communication costs. And when talking about communication costs, we said this is not only something about technology, right? Communication needs a cultural convergence, right? And it is closely related to globalization. So if you don't have a healthy globalization, then offshoring is culturally impossible or very costly, right? So B seems the correct answer. If you can read C and D, these are not very related to our discussion on offshoring. Okay, finally, the last question. What is a potential advantage of friendshoring? This is a concept we have just learned on this module. Lower labor costs? No, this is not an advantage of friendshoring, right? Actually, friendshoring creates usually higher labor costs. Because of the political divides, you can't choose the firm which can minimize the labor costs, right? This is what was explained in the video clip we have just watched. So you can eliminate A. B, similarly, B is a disadvantage of friendshoring, right? You can't have a diverse talent pool. You limit yourself by making a political decision here, right? Increased protectionism and limited exposure to international political trends. C is not relevant, okay? Friendshoring doesn't include, or offshoring doesn't include any discussion about protectionism, but D seems reasonable, right? This is actually the most important characteristics of friendshoring. This explains why we need a strategy like friendshoring, right? We want to have a limited exposure to international political trends. If something changes in the global political environment, we want to decrease the risks of these changes in the trends. So D is the best answer to this question. Okay, so after posting the link to these modules as a part of our first class of week 8 on Canvas. I will publish our next quiz on Canvas as well, and you will have maybe one week or more than that as usual. Please check the due dates of the next quiz, and you will find the same questions, and you can answer them there. All right. So that's all for today. I will try to record our second class of week 8 in the next few days. So thank you for your understanding and flexibility. So I will keep you updated about my return to Boise. If you need any further explanation about anything, if you need clarification about my asynchronous classes, do not hesitate to email me. Okay, thank you very much and see you soon.